Then I heard about UATX, environment where people who want to build startups or projects can come here, get the support, but still like grow as a person. Good books, philosophy. I was in like third grade making like these rainbow loom bracelets, $200 just selling these bracelets. Representative from the Cardinals is like, yeah, we'd love to have you here as well. Proving your leadership by like effort and results, not just words. The most important lesson I'd say is like,
Tony Udotong, welcome to the show.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, I want to start from the beginning. Tell us more about where you grew up. What was your family life like? Where'd you go to school? Walk us through your story.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Cinnaminson, New Jersey. It's like 15 minutes outside of Philly. My parents have been living there since I was born, even before I was born, for like over 20 years. Um, Growing up, my family was immigrant family from Nigeria. So we'd really embraced like our culture. My mom would always make Nigerian meals, go to these African parties, speak to us in her native language, as well as my dad. I grew up in a family of five boys. I'm the youngest. So like growing up was full of sports, video games, competition, self-improvement. Yeah, I mean, I graduated high school in 2024. I took a gap year. My gap year, I did a coding boot camp. After that boot camp, I at the time I was building my startup. I'd been building it for a couple months, and so like going forward in the future, I either wanted to get a job as a junior developer for a couple years, and then they go off and work on my startup, or then I heard about UATX, and it sounded like a startup incubator almost kind of thing, an environment where people who want to build startups or build projects can come here, get the support, but still like grow as a person, read good books, philosophy. Uh, so that's how I ended up here at UATX.
Nice. And I remember you mentioning at some point that you had a background in football. Are there any lessons you took away from football that you found valuable in your own life now?
Of course, of course. Yeah, I played football. I played sports my whole life. At first, I played soccer for like 7 years. Then I started playing football. I played football like my sixth grade year up until senior year of high school. And, like I love football, everything football. I love watching the NFL. Huge Eagles fan. Been playing Madden since Madden 16. And like yeah, as a football player, you really have to adapt to the speed of the game. Like going from middle school football where like yeah, like everyone's like quote unquote the best player, you know? Like everyone feels like they're the best player. Like middle school football, then going to high school, everyone's a lot bigger. Then like starting varsity, learning all the plays and having to really be tough, having to like be a student of the game, like study your opponents. Football has taught me a lot. I do believe that I guess like the most important lesson I would say is like uh, not caring, but like just doing what you have to do. Because like there was a point where like I'd say like middle school to like freshman year, not that I was like scared to hit, but I knew I wasn't like tackling, hitting people as hard as I can. Like I would like approach and like kind of stop my feet, not like go all the way through. And like over time, it was just repetition of like, okay, like if I stop my feet, I'm going to get ran over by this like 6 foot 210 running back, you know what I mean? And so like me, I've always been like smaller player. Like I was like 5'9", 150 in high school. And so like if I stop my feet, like I don't have a chance. And so yeah, I guess like really learning how to like tackle and hit full speed has like translated to like a lot of things of just doing what you have to do, like overcoming that fear, that like feeling of comfort.
I'm also curious, have you found any of the teamwork elements from football have translated into entrepreneurship at all?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like leading by example, I'd say is the most important thing. Because like if you're a leader on the football team, you don't just lead with your words. Like you're the first person when you line up in drills. You're the first one to do the drill. You are the example that everyone, like the younger guys, the coach is like, okay, like my nickname in football is Uda. Like Uda, get up, like, get up front, and like do this drill. Show people how it's done. I'll do the drill. Got to go like full effort, and then like not everyone will like follow that effort. But then even like on game days, I used to give I used to give like the defensive speech. So like we would go through warm ups, do offense, then I'd do defense. And then like after the defense, like I would give like a speech, and like even then, yeah, it's just like riling up your team, being like, "Yo, like we've done so much this week. We know what we're gonna do now, but it's just like cool your nerves and just play. Like we got this type of thing." Um, so like, yeah, being a leader in football definitely translates exactly, honestly, to like entrepreneurship, of like team building, leading by example, uh, proving your leadership by like effort and results, not just words.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was was there like a certain point in your life that you knew you wanted to go down the entrepreneurial route?
I'd say it was since I can remember, to be honest. It's always been in me. I mean, I grew up the youngest of five boys. The gap between me and my next oldest brother is 6 years.
Wow.
Then it goes like 6, 8, 10, 12. And so like when I was growing up, when I was 5, my oldest brother was graduating from high school, and he went to MIT. And like
Wow.
ever since, and like my cousins as well, they're a little bit older than us, but like their family is like the same as ours basically. Like it's my mom's sister's kids, and like they're all entrepreneurial, all like Ivy League colleges like Columbia, Duke, Yale, Vanderbilt. And so like I remember growing up, my cousins used to come over, and like they would ask me like what I want to be, and like I remember they try to like not psyop me, but they try to like get me to be an investment banker. They're like, yo, what do you want to be? And like I know they want to hear, so like, I'll write down investment banker. But like, yeah, I definitely always wanted to be like a business owner, entrepreneur. Um, the first time I did something like entrepreneurial was like I was in like third grade. I started at that time I'd been making like these rainbow loom bracelets, if you know what that
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
used to make those with one of my friends. And so like one day at school, yeah, I'd wear them one day at school. Someone was just like, yo, like, let me buy it. And so like I started selling them at school. Then I remember I made like a website. Like I watched like a WordPress tutorial on YouTube, like how to make your own website. I made my own website, asked my dad to buy a domain name for me. That's actually when I started on LinkedIn. When I
No
was
way.
when
Wow.
I made that first website, and my LinkedIn bio was like CEO of Rainbow Loom, or
Wow.
founder of RainbowLoom.com, or like something like that. But yeah, then I remember I went to a fair. I made like $200 just selling these bracelets at this fair. Got my own table. People would come up, give them the bracelets, get the money, and like ever since then, it's just been like, yeah, I guess like in my blood to continue to pursue it, because I believe that like yeah, I believe that if you want to make a lot of change, there's a lot of different like routes you can take. But if I were to play to my strengths, my route would probably be through like business and entrepreneurship.
It's incredible. Yeah. I didn't know that about your cousins, huh? I guess like one question I had was, were your parents adamant on you going down a particular direction? Because I know you talked about like your cousins influencing you, but
Yeah,
what was their take on it?
my parents not so. I mean, not really like a certain career path, but more just like excellence. Like you will get very good grades in school. You will do these extracurricular activities. You will like yeah, like I remember growing up during the summers, so let's say like I'm going into fourth grade, my mom would make all of us like complete like fourth grade, fifth grade workbooks, like fifth grade math workbook, fifth grade reading workbook, fifth grade science workbook. You have to complete the entire thing during the summer. And like if you're not doing it like enough in a day, and you can't play video games, you can't go outside, like your day is like just ruined. Like you gotta sit down and like do your workbook. So my parents definitely like, yeah, I see my parents definitely like pushed us to excellence, but then definitely gave us the freedom to do whatever we want beyond that. But we just all like fell into entrepreneurship. So
Wow. And how did you find out about UATX initially? Was it through like a podcast or a family member?
Yeah, it's through my cousin who lives here in Austin. His office is actually across the street. And so like yeah, he obviously sees like the banners of UATX outside. And then he sent me the application link of when they first released like the submit your SAT score, get in like 5 minutes. And so like at that time, I was just like, I mean, might as well. Like I already my SAT score is good enough, so like might as well just apply and see what this is about.
What you have to lose, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like if I had to if I had to write an essay, I probably wouldn't have applied. I applied in like April, like late April last year. So
And if I remember, you were at a couple of startup accelerators before this, and you said you took a gap year. Why did you decide to come back to school?
yeah, I decided to come back to school because this was like in my view, this was essentially a 4 year startup accelerator of like, yeah, I'm gonna graduate and I'll be working on this project throughout school. I'll grow as a person. A lot of other people are gonna be doing the same thing. Uh, and like it was a great opportunity. I mean, tuition's free. You're in downtown Austin, exposed to so many different opportunities. Um, so yeah, when I was like making the decision, this was honestly like it was either continue applying for jobs or go to UATX. Wasn't like continue going to jobs and like apply to schools. It was like, okay, this school is a very unique opportunity. We're all just work in the workforce.
Got it. So it seems like you wanted a combination of both the network, but also like intellectual and personal development as well. That's
Yeah,
kind of what you're seeking. Okay, very
yeah,
cool. And at what age did you initially get interested in coding, or like what sparked your interest in it?
yeah. You know Scratch,
I do, yeah.
MIT.edu. Yeah, I used to. My brothers got me on Scratch very early, so like, yeah, I was on it when I was like 8 or 9. I'd make like these math games, and yeah, I'd make these games. But I used to spend so much time on Scratch that I took a break from Scratch and like coding in general for a long time. And honestly, I just picked it up during my gap year again. And ever since then, it's just been like it's like my second nature.
Yeah, yeah. And tell us more about ZenQuill because I know that's an extension of your love for coding.
Yeah, yeah. So ZenQuill now. Yeah, I guess let me run through the pitch. So when I was in high school, I was a football player, varsity football player. I knew I was good. My sophomore year, I was starting varsity, but like I knew I could do a lot better, and like there was certain things in my game I had to improve on. But like I'm going through the same practice as everyone else, but like there's just a couple things in my game that I need to be better at, and I can be a lot better compared to like just doing what everyone else is doing. And like a solution to this could be hiring a personal trainer, but like that's very expensive, and so like I didn't do that. Um, yeah, I experienced like that problem of yeah wanting to get better in certain areas, but not having resources and tools to do so. ZenQuill is a company that uses AI video analysis to help athletes train better. So right now, as an athlete, you can upload like a YouTube link or a like a coach example of a drill. Then you can submit your own, like record your own video of you doing the same drill. Then the AI video analysis will compare the two videos and give you feedback on your form, uh, like by analyzing your joint angles and whatnot. But going down the line, we really want to go deep into like augmented reality and VR. Shout out like Jaden Daniels. But I literally just bought the Meta display glasses yesterday,
Wow.
and it was like coding some apps on there for like athlete like reaction time, augmented reality. But like our full vision is like so imagine you're wearing these like AR sports goggles and you literally see the marker of where your knee has to hit when you're training. So you don't have to guess. You literally see it every single time. Or like say if you're playing basketball and you're trying to learn uh some new moves, I don't know. You literally can see like where your footsteps should be for these moves. And that even when you're driving to the rim, you see exactly where you should like lay the basketball on the backboard so that it goes in. So that's our full vision. Obviously, right now it's not really possible right now because the like AR tech and VR isn't that developed or commoditized. But our long term bet is that um, this technology will get cheaper over time. It will get better and cheaper. So where like the average high school or college athlete doesn't have to drop like $1,000 for 4K on these tools, but it'll just be like $100. It'll just be like, yeah, everyone has an iPhone, everyone has like AirPods. I think everyone will have these AR, VR sports glasses as well.
And so is the idea with those that you're getting real time feedback, so you don't need someone there in person. Like you not only can see where you're trying to hit those specific targets, but you can also get corrective feedback almost
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah. Like, and then as well as like, in my opinion, the best way to learn as an athlete is to like visually see it. Even just in general, like I'm a visual learner. Like I can learn by like someone telling me feedback of like, oh, you're supposed to like move your right foot out a little bit more or something like that. But if I can literally see exactly where my foot has to be, it's like, all right, it's like, all right, let me put my foot there.
Just like accelerates the learning process.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And like, yeah, if we can do this for sports, imagine like say I'm trying to learn piano and then like I can literally see exactly where my fingers should be on the piano keyboard. So there's a lot of like learning implications if we're able to develop this.
I guess I want to transition more to the process of building ZenQuill. What did you find was the most challenging or difficult aspect of it so far?
I guess when I started, I had never coded a website before, so that was the huge learning curve. At the time, it was like June 2024, and like AI coding tools were very not bad, but like very basic. So like it was literally me type me in a ChatGPT, like copy and paste files and all this. But yeah, I'd say the hardest thing, yeah, the hardest thing was definitely acquiring the technical uh, jargon and knowledge. And I was only able to do that just by like spending a lot of hours on it.
And also, you posted on your, I saw on your LinkedIn that you posted you got into like an Arizona Cardinals event. Do you want to walk us through the backstory and how you got such a cool opportunity?
Yeah, yeah. So like every week on LinkedIn, I max out my connection requests. So like let's say this week, I want to this week I'm like trying out a new feature. I'm going to message 200 student athletes to like test this out. That week, I was messaging like people and only people at NFL, NBA, NHL organization levels and like pitching the idea. And I've been doing this for a couple weeks. I sent the message to someone at the Arizona Cardinals in like November. I didn't hear from them until like March. I didn't get a response until March. And the response was like, yeah, they like the idea. And they're like, oh, we're having this. Uh, the event was called like Lunch and Learn, where other business owners who had previously worked at the Cardinals came and gave a speech, like a panel. And yeah, the representative from the Cardinals was like, yeah, we'd love to have you here as well. So I was like, yo, no way.
Can't pass that
Yeah, I was like,
up.
no way. Like, I literally like I sent the message over 3 months before she responded, uh, which is the craziest part because I was like, yo, when did I even send this message?
Wow.
But yeah, that was an amazing time. Uh, yeah, I went for like one day. The next day, I was presenting at South by Southwest. It was like
Wow.
landed in Arizona at like 12 p.m. Left at like 5. Got
Wow.
back to Austin.
Dedication right there. Wow.
So it was amazing time, amazing trip. Very grateful. Opportunities like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I can't remember where I saw this or like learned of this story, but I remember learning from a story from someone one time, and it's basically this idea that a lot of people imagine you're like walking down a hallway, and a lot of people will see a door that they really want to get into, and that door represents an opportunity that they really want. A lot of people look at that door and they won't even try to open the door handle. They'll just stand there and assume that door is locked. But it only takes one person to go up and try unlocking that door handle to realize that all the other guys who were going through the janitor's closet and all around the building to find a key, all they had to do was just open that door.
No,
So
exactly. And like,
yeah.
I guess this is another point of like, I see you on LinkedIn as well. Like, you're active on LinkedIn, and like, I do feel like definitely recently. LinkedIn has been getting more and more like young people, but like it's still so untapped. Because like
Yeah.
imagine you are a 35-year-old, professional. You've been using LinkedIn since you graduated college, and like people you interact on LinkedIn is like your peers, like the the amount of like young 20-year-old people who are messaging these business professionals on LinkedIn is so small. So like
Yeah.
you do it, you are actually so like you stand out a lot. And like if you in your message, if you say, "Hey, I'm a student," blah blah blah, like they will actually read the message and be like, "Hey, like yeah, I was a student too. Like I want to see what I can do for this person." And so like that definitely helped a lot. Like my messaging was very specific, very like I spent so long like iterating on my reach out message to the point where like I was able to get all my points across and like people were responding at like a decent rate. Um, and so I do think LinkedIn is an amazing platform for young people in general, whether you want to like start a company, get an internship, get a job. Like LinkedIn is definitely like you don't forget Instagram, forget Snap, forget Twitter. I mean Twitter's really good too, but LinkedIn is just untapped. So
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote by Alex Ramosi where he talks about it's never been easier to start a business, but it's also never been easier to do nothing. In other words, the bar for excellence is so low nowadays that you can literally just stand out by taking the time and effort to cultivate or build some sort of message that is specific and unique to the individual. And there's a surprising amount of people that actually respond to that.
exactly. And like another thing is like I say like building in public as well. Like we have the advantage, we're so young. So like us building in public, really we don't lose anything. It's like we if we fail, it's like I mean I'm still in college, like
Right.
very, very young. But like now the most important thing is like starting something and then like people can see your thought process and work ethic and work habits along the way. I feel like that breeds trust. It breeds like respect. Yeah, I don't honestly, I don't think that was something that the representative from the Arizona Cardinals said is like we connected in November, but she had kept seeing my activity on LinkedIn for months. And then like she had this event, and like I was already like in her mind in a bit, like she knew what I was up to, and so that's why like she felt comfortable like sending out the invite. So like I think building in public is very, very underrated, especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it reminds me of a another quote one of my mentors told me, which is you never fail, you either win or you learn. I know that you've been in a lot of very competitive, ambitious environments, and I'm guessing it's been very deliberate. Can you walk us through some of the lessons that you learned from whether it's like the hackathons or the startup accelerators that you did, and how that has translated into you building ZenQuill?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess the number one environment is like my family environment. Everyone is working on a startup. My brothers have gone through like Y Combinator, A16Z. My oldest brother's company is worth over $1 billion. My cousins as well have been through Y Combinator, all Ivy League colleges. So like growing up in that environment of like excellence is not a distant goal; it's the standard. And then like now when I go into other environments, let's say like when I was in high school, like National Honor Society or student council or like even varsity football, it's like excellence always a standard. And yeah, I guess for like beyond high school, one environment that I was in recently is actually I'm wearing the shirt, 1517 Summit. I went last week or 2 weeks ago, and just hearing from founders who have like got into 1517 and like been in the community for like 5 to 10 plus years, hearing their evolution and their products and their 10-year plan, their vision. The title of the event was like the 10-year plan. And honestly, that like when I was there, a lot of the speakers were like either hardware or biotech, but they were working on like very complex niche problems that they first experienced themselves. But their vision was also very large. Like none of the companies were building for today. They were all building for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And like that's what I really took to heart. That's why like I'm even more excited to like go on like the AR development VR thing because like yeah, I don't actually want to build for today. The point of like doing the startup is taking these long-term bets that like some things have to fall into place for the future for your idea to really like exceed its scale. And that's definitely encouraged me to like look beyond just, oh, how do I, get to 10K MRR next month? But like how can my business be successful 2 years, 5 years from now? So I think like thinking on that long term plane is something that I uh, definitely embodied at my recent like competitive environment.
Yeah, that note on excellence is fascinating, especially the fact that it was just the standard that you were raised on. Reminds me, one of the guys, Jay Yang's an absolute beast. He was the former content strategist for Alex and Layla Hermosi. One of the things that he talks about is you want to find the place where your dream day is their average Thursday. But there's definitely something about being around other very high performing, ambitious people. The energy, you just feed off the energy around you.
You're like that quote, you're the summary of the five people you're closest to. And I found that
Yeah.
it's very true. It's
Yeah.
very true.
The other thing that's interesting as well is that it's not just who you're surrounding yourself with that's important, but there's also, I remember learning about a Harvard study a while back where one of the biggest indicators of someone's success was who they were referencing, who their reference group was. In other words, if like you're a five-figure business owner and you walk into a room with eight figures or eight-figure business owners, you're going to feel like the small guy in the room, but that's going to push you to be even better.
Mm,
So it's interesting in that dynamic.
I agree. I agree. Like, and that's another thing I've like in the Arizona Cardinals room. I was I was the youngest person, and like not a lot of people there were actually like business owners. A lot of people were like represented from their companies, but I was like a business owner, and then also the youngest person in the room. So it's like just being in that room in general. It's like okay, like I got to catch up, but like I felt I felt like I was in the right place. So definitely getting in those rooms where you're not the best or you got a lot to like catch up, a lot to learn is what you want to do.
You're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
It's true. It's true.
I want to touch more on like your personal philosophy. What are some of the principles and values that you believe in?
Yeah, I was raised Christian. I'm a big follower of Jesus. Uh, I do believe like the energy you put out into the world is reflected back to you. Um, when I was in high school, my junior year, I was actually thinking about this recently. Um, the most books I've ever read in a year was like my junior year of high school, and it was because like I had this thought, this mindset of like, okay, I want to build companies in my future, but first I need to become the person who can build successful companies. And so like I went deep into reading like 48 Laws of Power, The Alchemist, Atomic Habits, Outwitting the Devil, um, Psychology of Money,
Morgan
uh,
Housel, yeah.
in like a couple more books, and like I just felt like my mind was just like reading all those books and like even like I didn't read Republic of Plato back then, but like I was very familiar with like the cave allegory, and like I'd say that definitely widened my perspective and like okay, I know where I want to be, but like my like Atomic Habits, like my where I want to be is just going to be the result or the conclusion of what I'm doing every day. So I have to do something every day to put me where I want to be. And yeah, I'd say like my personal philosophy is if I had to say it in like simple terms, it's just I don't want to say hard work because that's too basic, too broad, but like persistence, uh, dreaming big, and also just like putting out good energy into the world, like treating everyone with respect. You don't ever even know who you're talking to, uh, and just making people feel like more at home wherever you are.
I love that. Yeah, it reminds me, I don't know if you read it. I know you're on that reading spree. One of the books that changed my life was No Rules Rule by the co-founders of Netflix. But one of the
Mm,
ideas they talked about in there is we want people who are champions who take out the trash. And that's something that I've always admired. Like, for example, my uncle, he's a business owner. He runs a trampoline park in Arizona, and he will never order his employees to do things that he himself is not willing to do. He always is willing to get rid of his ego and lead by example. And that's something that I really admire in a lot of people. Um,
Absolutely. That's the most important. It's like, yeah, like how can I how can I tell someone to do something that I wouldn't even do myself? And that was another thing of like for football as well. Uh yeah, you gotta lead by example and everything else will kind of follow.
the other thing you said about breaking down your end vision into like these day to day chunks, it's probably one of the biggest realizations that I've had in my life lately because it seems so overwhelming to. I think like the idea that when you're 18, you graduate high school, you have to have all this stuff figured out is complete BS, honestly.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's so much more reassuring when you just get clear on what it is roughly that you want, the type of person and the character traits you want to develop. And then you just ask yourself, what actions can I take on a daily basis that increase the likelihood I achieve those goals? It's
Exactly.
very very cool mindset.
Love that. Love that.
What keeps you going when you want to give up really bad, like through really difficult times? What's your why?
My why is I guess like pretty unique to me. But yeah, I would say it's the result of like my gap year, to be honest. The reason I took a gap year is because I was actually rejected from like every single of my target schools, only acceptances to like safety schools. So like me growing up in my hometown, all the teachers knew my brothers, knew the success. Like one of my brothers had like a little like shrine in my high school. So everyone would see my family, everyone knows about my family. My teachers would literally like talk to me about seeing my brother's like LinkedIn posts for the company's doing well. And it's just like, bro, I'm in English class. Why are you like talking to my family? But like, yeah, and like in high school, I always wanted to go to these like top colleges. Uh, Everyone around me was like thinking I was going to go to these top colleges. Um, I was like school president, class president, 4 years. And like when that, I remember the day of like opening all of my college letters, not a single yes, and just like being like, man, I gotta, like, I can't let this be the reality. And like, I remember I actually wanted to go to like the safeties and like work hard and transfer after a year. Then there was one of my brothers who was like, bro, like, we've seen so many people take gap years and be very successful. Like if you're willing to spend 15K for 1 year to go to the safety school that you're gonna transfer from, you might as well just like do a coding boot camp and like learn how to code a lot faster and better for cheaper. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I did. But like, yeah, a lot of people back home didn't obviously like that's a very foreign path. I was the only one in my school to take a gap year. Uh, stopped talking to a lot of people. A lot of people stopped talking to me. And so it was just like my why is, I got to finish what I started and like sacrifice a lot to continue to pursue what I want to do. And like is only the beginning. And honestly, if I wanted to stop, I really couldn't. So it's just got to keep going one foot after another.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, that idea you brought up of other people feeling like you were straying from them because you were sort of going down this foreign entrepreneurial path reminds me of a quote by Alex Ramosi, which is along the lines of poor people stay poor because they're scared of other poor people judging them for trying to get rich.
Yeah.
And it's this really weird thing because this is another quote by Alex Ramosi, but I think it's also relevant, which is when you go back home and people say you've changed, it's because they don't know how to say you've grown. And that's something that's really tough. At least for me, when I came back from my first year of college, I came back to my hometown. I definitely was a different person. And that's not to say that my old friends were bad or anything or that they're bad people. It's just, I think when you grow as a person, you upgrade your standards, your values, your beliefs, what your goals are. And that's a really difficult thing to wrestle with when you go back home and they want to be old backs or like the old Tony.
Yeah.
How have you wrestled with that in your own personal life?
It's hard, man. It's really hard. I mean, I'm definitely like my friend group in high school is not the same friend group now. If I'm gonna go back home this summer and like there's definitely some friends who like we're not really friends anymore. And it is sad. It's like, yeah, I see all my Snapchat memories of like these old times and whatnot, but like that's honestly that's one of the biggest things I've learned is just like people grow out of each other. People will go down different paths, and like going to UATX definitely does not help like making you the same person as you were before. But that's why I went here, and like I can see the type of person who like some people in my town are going to like Penn State or like any of the other schools, and it is just a lot different. Even like conversations wise, it's like can't really have a fascinating, engaging conversation with some people, to be honest. Uh, that's why I am thankful of UATX, of like cultivating this environment of like people who are very intellectually like stimulated. Uh, that like you really, it's hard to find other places. So yeah, it's definitely hard like going back home and trying to like fit in, especially for me taking the gap year and doing all this. But hey, I got my fam, got my friends who like are my close friends. Uh, so that's all I need.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also one of the biggest things that I've learned this year as well is it's a lot better to have a small, tight knit group of friends who hold you a very high standard as opposed to having a lot who don't have your back when you need it. There's a quote by Dan Martell. I'm not familiar with him, but he's another entrepreneur based in Canada. He runs a SaaS business and helps people scale businesses. But one of the quotes he has is surround yourself with people who want more for you, not more from you.
Yeah, no, exactly. You don't want yes men. That's my biggest thing, to be honest. I don't want someone who's just gonna agree with everything I think because they want to like like stay close to you. You want someone who's gonna be like, yo, like you should not do this, bro. Don't do this. Like or like yeah, like I'm trying to make a very important decision, and they're just like, hey, like I know you think this way, but like you should low key think about this a different angle. Those are the people I definitely respect the most, and like that's how you know it's like it's real.
Yeah, and even President Carvalho told you at your convocation, high standards are the highest form of respect.
It is exactly, exactly.
And also that part you mentioned about, I think it was your older brother, right? When you were thinking through what to do after high school.
Yeah,
There's something about having people who are ahead of you who have a more well-rounded frame of mind of the world giving you input. Because at least for me, when I was in high school, I thought all I wanted to do was become a doctor, and I was like, gonna go to med school, do the whole 9 yards. And my older brother was entrepreneurial because I think it's very easy for a lot of high schoolers, especially because when you're in high school, it's like a bubble and it
yeah,
clouds your judgment. But I would say my older brother, and I don't know if you can agree with this, saved me from a lot of mistakes that I would have made otherwise. So,
definitely, man, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I'm very thankful for like yeah, and just having just a huge community of like older mentors because like I have my four older brothers and then my five older cousins. There's so many different like touch points and areas of life that they've just covered that I'm able to like benefit from their feedback and their input. So definitely very thankful for all of the guidance and mentorship.
Now, I know you're 20 now, is that right?
Yeah,
In the past 20 years, out of all the crazy ambitious stuff you've done, what would you say is the single hardest thing you've done, and how has that shaped you as a person?
yeah, I'd say like going back to like the gap year of like trying to just like keep my not yeah honestly I'd say like a little bit of an identity crisis because like because like I had this certain image and perspective in the next 4 years how this is gonna go, and like one day it just shattered, and then like building myself back up after that was definitely like the hardest time. Uh, very like some days would be like okay I got this, some days but yo what am I even doing, you know what I mean? And so like remaining persistent through it and just like still like having to perform at a high level, but not knowing whether your performance is really even going to matter, I think was like the biggest thing I learned. Just keep going forward, even through all of the uncertainty. Like I didn't know where I was going to be in a month, 2 months, but like I still have to like do things every single day, so I'm not wasting this time that I have now. And like that experience carries me through like now because it's like yeah. I've been through things that are a lot more difficult, a lot more uncertain, but I know that I have the strength to persist. So
Yeah, it reminds me of two quotes by Alex Hormozy, which is you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are.
exactly.
And the second one being everything that you've ever wanted in life is on the other side of risk and uncertainty. So, where do you see yourself after ZenQuill, after UATX?
It's a tough question. I see myself. I do see myself working on startups for my entire life, or businesses. But I am very, very interested in in developing Africa. I'd say that's one of my deepest goals is to like return to the homeland. One of my brothers and cousins have all one of their startups has been through Y Combinator. It's based in Nigeria. They're helping like farmers, but like the purpose and the drive and the satisfaction uh, that they get from that is just something that I've seen. And like it's easy to put in the hard hours and the long days when you're so like attached to the vision, the goal, the results, and I do see myself like doing some sort of African development, whether it's like the tech standpoint, agriculture, infrastructure, just getting my hands deep in there. So like when I have my kids, when I'm in my 30s, 40s, and we go to Nigeria, I can be like, yeah, like me and your uncles, like we really did this shit.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where I envision myself.
I guess the last question that I have for you is imagine you're at your high school graduation, you're dressed up in your gown, you're about to walk the stage and get your high school diploma. What is one thing that you wish every young, ambitious 18-year-old who's about to graduate high school should know now that you've been out of high school for a few years?
You really have so much time. Like, do you think that okay, I'm 18, I'm graduating high school, this is such a yeah, I mean it is such an important time in your life, but it's a very, very early time in your life and like you have a lot of years to just figure it out. Like for me, I remember on graduation day, like, yeah, I didn't really know what I was gonna do, but like I knew that just being in the moment, I had to embrace it and like enjoy it. I guess I'll tell myself that like it's not actually a problem that you don't necessarily know what you have to do, you're gonna do. It's like you have a lot of time to figure it out. You have time to go down different paths and still like pivot to what you want to do. So like if you're going down, yeah, for you like going down like this med doctor route, let's say like you're still doing it by like 23, you can actually just do something else. Like and then be very successful in that other thing and you're still 23, 24, you're very young. So like just accepting that you have so much time and just like really be patient, I say is the most important thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that was in. There's a great angel investor, Naval Ravikant, if you're familiar with him in Silicon Valley. But he has, or there's a book that author Eric Jorgensen wrote about him called The Almanac Naval Ravikant. But a lot of people admire him because he's a combination of someone who's both financially successful and actually happy and peaceful as an individual. But one of the things that he talks about is that you escape competition through authenticity. In other words, the way that you outcompete people is by figuring out what it is using your natural inclinations and talents that you uniquely can provide the world and solve a problem that no one else in the world is better at solving than you. But that process can take up to a decade to figure out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, exactly. And then like and on that note, it's like while you're, let's say you want to do a business, do a startup, you're like 19, 20. While you're like on this path of like trying out different things, you might actually experience a problem that only you could have experienced because now you're trying out these different things. And then let's say like you don't even know what problem you're solving until you're 25, 26. But like that's still you're still young and now you have all this experience of like trying out different paths. Uh and then you have the problem that you uniquely can solve. And so I think yeah, it's so important to like play to your strengths. Like I'm not gonna try to solve a problem for someone who's an artist. Like I can't paint. I'm not going to try to solve a problem for someone who's a poet or like, a path is foreign to me. But like, hey, I play football all my life. I'm very interested in Madden and fantasy football. I have experience in this, and like, I'll play to my strengths. I know this the best, so it's definitely very important.
Yeah, it reminds me of another quote by Dan Martell, which is, if you're struggling to figure out what you were put on this earth to do, sometimes the best problem you can solve is on the other side of the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah,
So it's like a combination of both your natural inclinations and experiences that you've uniquely experienced. So, well, Tony Udotong, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
thank you so much, man. It's been great.